My name is Jason Altacruz. I am the founder of the nonprofit website Free Math. I'm also the lead developer of the website, and I'd like to welcome you to my session, Reclaiming Grading as a Conversation with Students. So I'd like to start talking about a trope that I find frustrating and all too prevalent. A lot of popular media, TV shows, movies, they have a typecast character of a smart person, which is very often linked together with a math person. And one of their activities in a lot of plot lines is they need to solve something with math. And they run to a computer or they whip out a device, they quickly type something into it and they talk about some equation gibberish, and then in 5 seconds, they solve some super hard math problem. This is really frustrating because it's literally how no math is ever solved. It comes up in fantasy media, but it creates this totally false impression of what it means to solve a math problem. We all really know that most math problems are solved with these tools. And that's not true just of students in K-12 education. That's true through writing a PhD thesis in mathematics. That's true in technical disciplines like engineering, and throughout scientific study, people record their work on paper, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. Paper is extremely flexible. You can produce any symbol that you know what it looks like. You don't have to know what incantation you need to summon it. You can just write it down. Math in particular is a really complicated web of subjects, and a whole bunch of the ways that we've created a way to share our understanding involves a lot of visual language. And anytime you're trying to put something visual on a computer, there's going to be some limitations about what you can do. On paper and pencil, you can really just draw whatever you think. And if you can see it in your brain, you can very easily just be like, I'm going to draw that. You can also create domain-specific shorthand. You can invent a symbol on the fly, write a quick definition, and then just run with it. Unfortunately, there are also some shortcomings of paper. It's mostly good at recording your thinking, but it's not necessarily the greatest at editing. So if you make a mistake somewhere in your process, if you need to shift things around, if you're running out of space on the paper, you can end up with a really messy sheet of paper once you finish all of your process. And you end up needing to erase and rewrite, or maybe you just scratch something out completely. One unfortunate thing is that a lot of people just have messy handwriting. And overall, this process ends up feeling a lot like just trying to type out an essay on a typewriter. Typewriters had a use for a very long time, but now we've pretty much entirely replaced them with word processors where we can shift things around, make edits, and that power has been really useful to lower the barrier to producing content. So all of these problems with math on paper are amplified in a math classroom, because every day students are going to solve dozens of individual problems, and then that work is going to be multiplied yet again by the dozens of students that are present in each classroom. And so this very quickly produces an amount of step-by-step work that you're never going to be able to sort through all of it really thoroughly every day. So in a paper and pencil classroom, we ended up with workarounds like peer grading, grading a random sample of work, or just walking around trying to keep students accountable with completion grades. But obviously, workarounds, we have to pick them carefully. We have to work within the time that we have, but we want to make sure we're prioritizing the right things when we choose our workarounds. So if we think about why grading is a part of education, grading has the ability to make timely redirections of misunderstandings. Any learner learning any level of math is going to have missed connections. They're going to try to generalize two concepts together that don't belong together. And if we can create the correct connections early and redirect minor understandings early on, we can have a more fluid path to mastery and complete understanding. Also, what the students are producing every day is a bit of a reflection back at instructors of how well the material was presented, either by the textbook or the problems that were presented to them, as well as what was presented in instruction. And so if you really take time to dig into what your students are doing every day, you can introspect and likely find a way that you could improve your communication going forward. Unfortunately, by the nature of what grading is, there are negative aspects to grading. people inside of education, outside of education, we all want to know where we stand in relation to our peers. And as soon as you're going to give someone a number, people are going to want to know where they are in the pecking order. It's something that isn't great for students' mindsets, but it's kind of just happened. And unfortunately, by policy and convention, we need to put something on the report cards. But unfortunately, report cards very often are not a good, powerful motivator to help students succeed. For high achieving students, they're terrified of getting that A- or B+. And for a whole bunch of students, the task of trying to produce a report card that they'd be really proud of is really daunting. And so they adopt an identity of, I guess I'm just not going to get good grades. And obviously that's detrimental to our more noble goals in education of everyone leaving with a growth mindset and the belief that they can achieve mastery with practice. So in response to this, a lot of EdTech tools were created, and I think that they're emphasizing the wrong side of that grading question. So a lot of them in their materials really emphasize how they can help you fill out the gradebook and take away this busy work. But unfortunately, a bunch of them are optimized to collect final answers. And the value proposition that they kind of reflect back is, well, your students can get immediate feedback. And frequently that's in the form of a binary right-wrong. But the question that we at the free math team believe we need to ask is, like, does this help understanding? Why is this any better than when students could check their own answers in the back of the textbook? There are some tools that walk students through problems. My math lab has like a computer algebra system that'll like walk you through a problem, but it generally has like one solution path. It's a very like canned way to go to the end of the problem. And there really isn't a great way to like record your work in a lot of these tools. So oftentimes math ed tech is inflexible, expensive, and it doesn't really improve learning a lot beyond what you could accomplish in a well-managed paper and pencil classroom. So I found this quick video that I thought was a nice little illustration of kind of this relationship between teachers transitioning to automatic graders. So here, oh, I wanted to turn off the audio on that. Then we have it was a very short video. Sorry, I thought I was gonna mute that. Sorry, so here we have a math teacher that's enjoying insights from grading their students' work. The auto grader comes and says, I'll rip all that work away from you, but also those insights. And what they'll hand back to you oftentimes is a dashboard. And that provides some level of value, but we believe that there's a better way to go forward. So I pulled these off of the marketing materials of several prominent assessment platforms. These analytics lack necessary details to know what to discuss in your next day of class. You need to know what details were in their work to know how to effectively remediate students. And I actually added this slide during the course of today because I was reminded that things are getting better. So when I started on my journey to create free math, dominant platforms looked like Alex and My Math Lab. And I think that they had more downsides than a lot of the tools that teachers are using today. So I do want to give a nod to Desmos Activities, Jamboards, Kami, Pear Deck. These are all tools that are allowing students to record more free-form work. One thing that is a little bit like tedious about them is they generally require you to set up an assignment ahead of time. So you generally kind of create a guided path that your students are going to follow to complete their assignments. And you have to spend some amount of time kind of curating that content every day that you're going to present to them. So the alternative that I have to present to you today is free math. And this is a quick video to show you the quick step-by-step editor that can be used by students to produce their math work. I think I see chat, so I'm going to try to see if I can open this without. Sorry. So students very easily, they get presented with individual math editors. And this is actually using the same math editor that powers Desmos and Khan Academy. It's actually a very popular open library that's used by a bunch of the websites that present math. And they can have one of these on a line and it easily copies it down so they can make a small edit as they work towards a solution. Then, once they're done producing this work, they can create a document that includes multiple problems that are structured like that. And this is what the grading experience looks like. You can see here that students are also capable of embedding images. Those could come from a third-party site like Desmos, but they can also handwrite things for when they're more comfortable with that, or when it's just the more convenient thing to do, and then they can just hold that up to their webcam to easily snap a picture of that and embed it in their documents. When you're in the grading experience, it's going to show you your entire class grouped together by similar final answer on each question. And then there's bulk actions that can be applied across the whole class. I did see a question in the chat about, is it just for middle and higher ed, or can it be used for elementary school? There are tools that definitely can be useful all the way down to the elementary level. It has the same equation editor that you would find embedded in Desmos activities. It is a little bit more freeform. So you might need a little bit more time to kind of like orient them, because they actually can start making these documents totally on their own. So something a little bit more structured might be better for younger elementary students, but it's definitely possible to use this at the elementary level too. All right, and then with that, the rest of the session is actually going to be a live demo. So for those of you that are on a device that you can kind of manage the call and a web browser open at the same time, the web address is freemathapp.org, and I can put that in the chat.